So, I guess I'm an SJW now? That's weird. Let's talk about how much I love Senran Kagura. For the uninitiated, Senran Kagura is a series of beat-em-up games that are essentially about ninja girls with huge knockers beating each other up. This game was created by director and self-titled righteous boobage producer Kenichiro Takaki, who conceived the idea of the game when he first saw the Nintendo 3DS's stereoscopic 3D hardware and dreamt of seeing bouncing boobs in 3D. Truly a pioneer of men. Takaki has officially categorized Senran Kagura's proper genre as flying out boobs dramatic hyper battle. All of this to say that Senran Kagura is a franchise that self-identifies as a shameless titty ninja game, to the point of practically dethroning Dead or Alive as the world's premier shameless titty ninja game. It also happens to be one of my all-time favorite series. But I wouldn't say that just because I'm a trash lord who likes junk food anime waifu bullshit. The games themselves are decent brawlers with some genuinely cool characters and combat styles. But the real hook of the series isn't just the hyper boob action or the gratifying button mashing. Beyond the exploding clothes and the stock ecchi anime jokes, there's a cast of fully realized characters with hidden complexes, heavy moral dynamics, synergetic relationships, and character growth that show some genuine heart and understanding of these girls and their world. I, like many other Senran fans, was completely caught off guard by this hidden layer of depth. I could talk at length about any of the Senran girls, but today I'll be focusing on a particular pair of rivals, IKARUGA and Yomi. To begin with, let me briefly explain the basic premise of the first game. Senran Kagura is focused on two opposing hidden ninja schools, the Hanzo Academy for good shinobi, who are trained to work as government agents to carry out missions for the country, and the Hebijo Clandestine Girls Academy for evil shinobi, who train assassins and saboteurs to work for Japan's seedy underworld. Hanzo Academy is a prestigious school that accepts only the best of the best among its ninja students, and an elite class can sometimes only consist of between 3 to 5 students. However, Hebijo accepts students from anywhere, no matter who you are or where you're from, granting elite status only to those who fight their way to the top. Where the light accepts few, the darkness embraces all. The 5 main heroines from Hanzo are pitted 1-for-1 against the 5 shinobi from Hebijo, forming the primary conflict of the story as these girls battle each other not just for their schools, but for their own beliefs and ideals. IKARUGA is a third-year student at Hanzo and the class president, making her a senior to the other girls and something of an older sister figure. She is a top-grade shinobi with a flawless record who acts with an air of sophistication and intellect, often standing as the voice of reason among her more hot-headed classmates. She comes from a wealthy family of aristocrats, many of whom have served the government as good shinobi. As the heir to her father's business, she wields the family's heirloom sword, Hien, a katana that unleashes deadly cuts with swift precision. This perfect class president has one secret, however. She is not her father's child, and was adopted into the family. The inheritance and the heirloom sword were meant for IKARUGA's foster brother, Murasame, but he turned out to be an awful shinobi, so the title of heir was reluctantly given to IKARUGA, who was then made to meet every expectation of a perfect shinobi worthy of her family's name. IKARUGA fights not simply for the needs of her school or her friends, but also for the acceptance of her father and her brother who scorn her. All of this is neatly expressed in her character design. Her long, neatly trimmed black hair with a simple but elegant fringe cut is clean, professional, and also traditionally Japanese. Her battle gear stands out among the rest of the Hanzo girls, who dress mostly in varying degrees of combat schoolgirl. IKARUGA is instead dressed in military regalia, expressing her noble upbringing and her status as an heir and an aristocrat. The white of her jacket is indicative of her standard of perfection and flawlessness, and also matches nicely with Hien's white grip. What's interesting to note here is that despite IKARUGA being raised by a traditional Japanese noble family, her uniform is of a Western military style. Historically, Japan began adopting Western-style uniforms during the Meiji Restoration, an era of modernization and Westernization. During that time, the tradition of the samurai was being phased out in favor of a proper military force of riflemen and soldiers. This uniform represents a period in time when a common man could become a soldier and rise to the ranks of an officer, which also reflects IKARUGA's origins as a child of common birth, raised to meet the expectations of the elite. It should be noted that all of these battle costumes are manifested of a shinobi's own will, making them a tangible form of self-expression. The allegory of IKARUGA's uniform as the regalia of a common-born soldier raised to the level of the elite is more than likely a reflection of how she sees herself. It's for this reason I consider IKARUGA to be among the best of Hanzo's girls. All of this, however, contributes even more when placed alongside her rival character. Yomi is one of Hebijo's Elite 5, making her an active agent of Hebijo's founders and investors. Before enlisting as an evil shinobi, Yomi spent much of her childhood raised in the slums, living in poverty. Her family was so financially destitute that her parents eventually died of disease, unable to afford treatment. Yomi then began to cultivate a loathing for middle and upper class people who live with relative comfort, but she holds a personal grudge against IKARUGA and her family when she saw on the news that IKARUGA's father was giving large amounts of money to aid other countries overseas. Even though Yomi lives a relatively cushy life as one of Hebijo's Elite 5, she remains at all times a frugal spender who asks for little and makes the most of what she has. Her favorite food, as one will very quickly learn, is bean sprouts, because they are easy to grow and extremely affordable. To contrast all of this, Yomi speaks with a Keigo accent, a traditional dialect for Japanese noblewomen. As an enemy to the Hanzo girls, Yomi's attitude has a patronizing, condescending manner, almost as though her own speech was a scornful parody of the high-class people that she loathes. Furthermore, her battle costume takes the form of a double-layered dress with frills, laces, and ribbons, giving her the appearance of a fairy tale princess. As another point of contrast, her choice of weapon consists of a giant greatsword that later gains mechanical enhancements in later games, and an arm-mounted crossbow that slings bombs, shells, and blades. Her fighting style is rough and inelegant, choosing to simply smash her foes with brute strength or overwhelm them with explosives. Altogether, Yomi expresses what her idea of a princess is, while at the same time making a mockery of aristocracy. Individually, both IKARUGA and Yomi express a lot about themselves through specific design decisions. However, when paired together, the two designs also express their rivalry and conflict when comparing and contrasting the two. Their mannerisms are almost completely opposite. IKARUGA is polite and humble, whereas Yomi is patronizing and condescending, while appropriating an accent that actual rich people like IKARUGA don't even use. Each of them choose a style of dress that reflects their inner conflicts and desires. IKARUGA's Western uniform, reflecting her responsibility as an elite while also stepping away from tradition. Yomi choosing to wear an overly embellished impression of a princess, as though to put herself at IKARUGA's level. IKARUGA wields a priceless masterwork family heirloom sword whose power is brought out through perfected technique and training, whereas Yomi's weapon is just a heavy hunk of metal with hidden contraptions to compensate for its unwieldiness, and an armed crossbow that just shoots whatever she can scrap together. Even their inner conflicts are at odds. IKARUGA refuses to let her insecurities about her father and her brother show because she must maintain a front of perfection, which only strengthens Yomi's vendetta because her hatred of the rich blinds her from seeing IKARUGA as a real person who experiences suffering. When the two face one another, it's not just their weapons and techniques that clash, but also their ideals and self-expression. It's because of this strong rivalry that they are then able to see each other's faults and grow to overcome them together. At the end of the day, Senran Kagura is still a shameless titty ninja game, and there's just as many rhythmic cooking, water gun shooting, titty pinball, and weird motion control spin-off games as there is actual Senran canon. I'd be lying if I said that Senran had good writing in video games, but as someone who's already waist deep into bullshit anime waifu trash, it's nice to see when my titty ninja game actually asks me to care, and has some actual thought put into the characters and the world they've created. I don't expect this video to change anyone's mind about Senran Kagura, but I will say that the art, design, and themes of Senran go far beyond the spectacle of bouncing ninja boobs. And that about wraps up today's a.b.i.torial. For those of you looking to initiate yourselves into the world of Senran Kagura, I would recommend waiting for the remake, Senran Kagura Burst Renewal, a completely new retelling of the very first game for the PC and Switch. You can skip the PS4 version because Sony just decided that it doesn't like anime anymore. In the meantime, be sure to give this video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts about Senran Kagura. Don't forget to subscribe for more anime and game content in the future. Our channel is supported entirely on Patreon so we can keep our videos ad-free and so I can make as many bullshit anime titty videos as I want. I'm a.b.i., and always remember the words of a wise man. Tits are life, ass is hometown.